This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's a covenant cleanup. We say stupid things all of the time. It's a covenant cleanup, according to you, an unforgivable crime. Covenant cleanup, sponsored by nobody. No!
Personal foul. Clipping.
Minnesota is so hot.
In your face, Milwaukee!
Y'all ready to howl?
Here we go, Paul!
Good morning. This
9 to noon
is 9 to noon on your audio home for Western Conference Finals basketball. That's right. The opponent for the Minnesota Timberwolves could be set this evening, but the Timberwolves took care of their part of the equation last night. And by the way, when Jaden McDaniels consistently impacts games the way he does at a very high level, these guys are going to be tough to beat.
And runs away from Moody, a lob inside. Jaden throws it down with two hands. He just cut baseline, and it was wide open. Another alley-oop for the Wolves offense.
Have we told you lately Julius Randle is a rolling ball of butcher knives?
Julius, wing left, brings it up top against Buddy Hield. They spread the floor. Right in a dribble. Going right. Now back to the left side. He'll finish with a left hand. Julius Randle doing work on Buddy Hield.
is physical right there.
36-28. Wolves have their largest lead of the half.
And when the alpha, Anthony Edwards, when ants marching hide the women and children.
Hit ahead, Randle, baseline drive. The defense collapses to the corner, McDaniels. Now the trailer ant up top. Three ball, he rattles it in. Perfect ball movement from inside to outside. Mike Conley making the extra pass. 70-52, Wolves by 18, their largest lead of the night.
Y'all ready to howl? Hey! Here's how advancing to the Western Conference Finals sounded last night on your audio leader for all who howl.
15, the shot clock is off. Jaden with it in the corner. 7 seconds left. 6 seconds left. The Warriors will not foul. That is going to do it. The horn sounds here at Target Center, and the Wolves have captured Game 5, 121-110. After closing out the Lakers in 5 games, the Wolves do the exact same to the Golden State Warriors. And for the second straight season, Minnesota is headed to the Western Conference Finals.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all who howl. This is 9 to noon, and I'm Paul Allen. Brett Blakemore produces, and joining us now is elite basketball mind, Parker Fox. And how's Parker Fox living right now? Seriously, you are a homie who howls. Your squad is in the Western Conference Finals, and your girlfriend, Taylor Heisey, scored a playoff game winner at XL Energy Center last night. Smell the roses, brother. How you living right now?
Wow, life is good, Pia. And the Twins on a 10-game win streak. We might as well just keep piling stuff on top of each other, man. Life is good.
Interesting you brought that up. The Twins have won 10 consecutive, 10 in a row for Rocco. 10 in a row for Rocco. 10 in a row for Rocco. But he had to be replaced in the second game of a doubleheader yesterday with an illness. So somebody I met opening day at Target Field, it's Rocco's lead assistant, bench coach, a cat named Jayce Tingler. I got so bit by the Twins yesterday, despite this Western Conference final activity and schedule release all around the National Football League. I got so bit by the Twins yesterday that I got in touch with my man Jayce Tingler, who took over for Rocco yesterday. He joins the radio show about 40 minutes from now.
Oh.
So the Twins are getting into the Covenant with the lead a little bit buried with them, victorious 10 in a row. But I think people understand the Minnesota Timberwolves are off to the Western Conference Finals, and Micah Nori, the lead assistant to Chris Finch, joins 9 to noon about 30 minutes from now to talk about that. Julius Randle. Parker, do you remember? I would imagine this probably didn't take place in college because they just get a little more tight knit with the athletes in college. But like back in high school, when you played pickup games and football players, as you would say, rolled into the chat, they rolled into the game. They were super physical.
Oh yeah,
and they would bug bigs like Parker. They didn't have great basketball skill, but they weren't afraid to collide. They weren't afraid to step on favorite toes of Parker Fox. And their basketball gifts were not necessarily prevalent or present, but they were tough to stop because they were super, super physical. That's Julius Randle, with the exception of the basketball skill bit. He just reminds me of one of those football players that you would play against in high school, junior college for me, maybe Northern for you when you started out. But then when the physical part's over, damn, well, he can dribble with both hands. Damn, he can shoot reverse layups. Holy cow, he can hit from 30. Julius Randle is fantastic, and good morning.
Oh, and good morning. You know, PA, that was the worst going up in high school. A 6'7", 165-pound Parker Fox having to go up against some random offensive lineman who was going to, Harvard or something like that.
You got Tommy Olsen throwing bows. He can't shoot a shot, but he throws nothing but bows.
That's a damn fact. That's exactly right. But I love that comparison. I think that's kind of what you see from Julius. His physicality, his mentality. It's almost football-esque in the way he's kind of approaching these games with his leadership, with his togetherness as just a leader on this team. I think it's something that's been so important for this veteran base, but also some young talent on this Wolves roster to really get these guys as a unit together with one common goal. I think him and Chris Finch are so locked in on what they want to do game plan wise and how they want to attack series. And man, I think this team is really clicking, PA. This could be something dangerous.
When Micah Nori joins, Chris Finch joins weekly, already was on Monday, so he'll be on next week. So we opted to tap into his lead assistant, Micah Nori, who coached the team during the Nuggets and part of the Suns, but the Nuggets and Mavericks series last year when Finchy blew out his knee, courtesy of Devin Booker in the Valley of No Fun. So Micah joins about 25 minutes from now, and I'll get your opinion on this, and I'm curious to get his. You know when Steph Curry goes down, okay? They had that disastrous first game where, man, they had 31 points at halftime. That was ridiculous. But over the next 4, when they get a chance to watch film, they get a chance to diagram, and they get a chance to things dramatically had to change, but it probably just isn't like quick twitch. It takes a little time. What do you sense changed when Steph went out? Obviously, the firepower from deep and just the firepower for Golden State decreased immensely, but things still have to change for the Timberwolves defensively, right?
Well, I'm excited to hear what Micah Nori has to say from the coaching standpoint of that. But for me, as a viewer watching and as a former player watching from the playing standpoint, the thing that kind of just showed up to me was urgency, right? You have a superstar go down. You know that the Warriors' bench depth isn't something that's really their strong suit. You have to have urgency to get this thing done as fast as you can. You never want to drop one at home. You want to be able to protect your home court. You want to be able to win at home and sneak one on the road. You start down 0-1. It's a little spooky, especially against a team like the Warriors that can really shoot the ball. I think urgency was the biggest thing that I saw from this team. And as we know, PA, the best teams are player-led. And I think this Wolves team has leaders like Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards that got their guys together and said, hey, we're down 0-1, but we're going to win this thing in 5. And that's exactly what they did. I
don't exactly know what went into the approach last night, but it clearly was, see that guy over there? I think he was born in the Bahamas, came into the league when he was like 26, but he healed. He can really, really shoot.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't let him hit a flurry of three-pointers, with all due respect to Kurachek, we can't lose. And they locked Buddy Hield down last night, man.
Oh, they certainly did. Buddy was 2 for 9 from the floor, 0 for 4 from 3. A pivotal stat.
And that's all he does, hit threes.
All he does. And
Right.
if you can take that away from somebody in the Warriors system, in the Warriors offense, and make him go 0 for 4, including Jimmy Butler's 0 for 3 and Draymond Green's 1 for 6, the Warriors just did not have enough against the Minnesota Timberwolves defense last night.
And Butler was terrible. I mean, he I guess had an illness in Game 4. Maybe it lingered to Game 5. He missed a game the previous series with a pelvic injury, so he's battling hip. So Jimmy's going through some things right now. Man, if I'm a Golden State Warriors fan, I'm so disappointed in Jimmy Butler.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't engaged. I mean, because I'm not in their room, and I don't seek steam from the Hal to verify things like this. So therefore, I don't like to get loud with them. But it just seemed like he was not engaged, like he lacked engagement with what was right in front of him. Not only defensively, which is his calling card, my man just refused to shoot. He just won't shoot. It's like when he went to the foul line, it was kind of like, oh, all right, well, now I got to shoot.
It almost didn't make sense, PA, because like we've seen this playoff Jimmy throughout his career. We've seen this guy that's been able to just take over games in absolutely critical moments with his leadership, with his shooting ability, and especially with his defensive prowess. And we didn't see any of that. It looked like a guy who was just out there running around and doing the pacer test. He was a minus 17 last night in a loser go home type of situation.
Jeez.
It was nerve wracking for me to even watch Jimmy Butler. It was just visually tough to watch a guy like Jimmy play in that game last night.
Yeah, one of my favorite players the last 15 years because of the bulldog-like approach.
Yeah.
But no, that was non-existent for Jimmy Butler the last couple of games for sure. So the Timberwolves, like you may have heard on Howlin' with the Homies last night, they blew out the Golden State Warriors. They were up 25 at one point. They win by 11. The Warriors went plus 17 at the foul line, and the Wolves still won by 11. I mean, how infrequently does that happen?
Yeah, that's a stat that I know a lot of coaches, really value. And I think when you're a Timberwolves team that likes to get downhill versus a Warriors team that likes to shoot a lot of threes, you look at that stat and you say, okay, this team shot a bunch of threes and we were living in the paint and they got more.
Yeah.
Maybe the NBA wanted us to go a couple more games. I don't. Who knows? I'm not
Stop with the conspiracy stuff.
Speculate too much. That's not the type of show we're rocking with today. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter, in my opinion, what the Warriors were going to do. Ultimately, the Wolves just had way too much with the Steph Curry-less Warriors team to deal with.
If you want to go down conspiracy highway, seriously, how can the NBA not want Minnesota and the New York Knicks?
I agree.
Well, you get the biggest market in the country.
Yep.
You get one of the, if not the most emerging star of all stars in Anthony Edwards. But then you get Cat against his former team. You get Tibbs against his former team. You get Julius and Dante DiVincenzo against their former team.
Chills, PA, chills.
Seriously, I don't know if I can handle it. Honestly, I mean, Boston killed the Knicks last night. And now the winner of the next game at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night, that's the winner of the series.
Yeah.
So Cat, Brunson, who fouled out last night, your guy OG Anunoby, and the rest of them campaign, they better shut down the Tatumless Celtics tomorrow night. Because if they don't, they're not winning Game 7 at Boston, even without Jason Tatum.
Well, it's a very spooky type of game, right? Like anytime you're going into a kind of must-win situation versus a can't-lose, like New York's going back home, and they have to find the best version of themselves. They didn't have that. OG Anunoby is a guy I specifically want to highlight. He was 1 for 12 in that game. They can't have that. He was a minus 15 from the floor. I mean, you got to have guys like your role players really play well in these playoffs, especially when guys like Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are struggling from the floor. This Boston team is depleted. Jason Tatum just underwent Achilles surgery. They don't have the exact depth that they've had in the past. You bring 6 Men of the Year Peyton Pritchard out. That's great.
He won that?
Yeah, he won that award.
Yeah,
so
he's nice.
Congratulations to him. But they don't have the depth that they've really had. They like to play Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett inside a little bit. But Peyton Pritchard's going to be a huge factor for that Celtics team going into Madison Square Garden.
The Oklahoma City Thunder is favored at Denver tonight and can dagger that series 4-2. Wolves at OKC Sunday if the Thunder win tonight. That'll begin the Western Conference finals. OKC maybe 4.5 point favorites tonight at Denver. Who do you like in that game and why?
Yeah, it's gonna be a heck of a game. I don't know if you happened to watch Game 5, but wow, was that a special game? Mm-hmm. Just the shot making going back and forth with
Joker
Shea.
In the fourth quarter was unbelievable.
Oh, he was unbelievable, and so was Shea on the other side of the ball. It showed the reason why those two are leading the votes in MVP. It's going to be a tight one tonight. I think there's no way this one is a blowout. I'm hoping Denver has the stamina. They only play 8 guys. They really only play 7, maybe even 6.
Yeah.
They play Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther a little bit, but they play Russell Westbrook more than those two. OKC has the depth advantage. They have the guys that they can rotate through. But when you have Nikola Jokic on that side of the ball, he was 17 for 25, 15 rebounds, 44 points. Like anytime you have a guy like that, you have a chance to win. So I think the key in this one, though, is Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray can really play well and shoot the ball well, they have a chance to steal one at home and then make it go to 7.
Right. And you know, this even if OKC wins this evening, the first game would be Sunday.
Yes.
It's still, some are going to look at it just by the days and be like, well, that's not much different than last year. No. It's dramatically different than that Game 7 ball arena meat grinder right down to the wire victory. Super emotional.
Oh, yeah.
You fly back the next day, so that's a chill. Coach is working on the scheme for Dallas, for Luka and Kyrie and those guys. Mm-hmm. And then they practice, and then they leave and play. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's travel back, practice, travel again. Now they're at home.
Yes.
So today would be a chill, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. You can full throttle practice tomorrow. You can practice Saturday, then leave and go to Oklahoma City. So it's so much less frazzled and frenzied compared to last year, right?
100%. And the biggest thing for me as a guy that played is the mindset of it, right? Like at this time of the year, PA, guys are everybody's a little injured, right? Everybody's a little banged up, but you have this adrenaline that's flowing throughout you that you don't feel the little bumps and bruises. You find ways to fight through things like that. For me, it's the mindset. You just played a series against a Warriors team that, yeah, they were depleted, but the things that they ran offensively, you have to give the Warriors a lot of credit, but you also have to give the Timberwolves defense and their schemes a lot of credit. You could tell they were absolutely dialed in on the things that the Warriors were running.
Yes.
And the Warriors run the greatest stuff in the NBA.
Really?
So 100%.
You see, and when Finchie joined earlier this week, because he'll go point forward with Julius Randle.
I love it.
And Kerr, Kurachek with Curry and or Butler goes point forward with Draymond Green all the time. And I'm like, man, I mean, there are probably some cool plays that you can steal there. And he goes like, yeah, all their plays are cool. Yeah. They have a lot of cool plays. You're so right about the sneaky picks. I mean, Kerr and that group had to work so hard to keep this even moderately close. Mm-hmm. Those backdoor cuts they have and those timely cuts and bounce passes into the key, but then Stifle would be there.
Yes.
So like they see it, we know it, we practiced it, it's there. Mm-hmm. Then you turn around, holy cow, where'd he come from?
Yeah, what Rudy did in this series, I think really goes unnoticed. Anytime you have a guy like that that's able to protect the paint the way he did, it's such an advantage for your team. It makes your defense just force everything to the outside. So now instead of getting back cut and worrying about screens, you're able to just chase everything. And yeah, that's tough. It's really physically demanding and it's tough. But you know that if I'm late, I have a guy like Rudy Gobert inside who, if he's not going to block it, he's at least going to alter the shot.
Let's change topic for just 1 second.
Hey, what's up, KFAN? It's 84, man. Y'all stay tuned live for the hottest man in the world, PA, Paul Allen. Yes, sir.
We're thinking about
Super Bowl, homeboy.
So from at Chicago, JJ, you got JJ and JJ. So you got McCarthy at Caleb Williams. Standalone game to start things, Monday Night Football.
Yep.
You finish at home against the Green Bay Packers in Week 18. What'd you think of the schedule drop yesterday, P-Fox?
I think it's a fun schedule.
Me too.
I think the opportunity to be the first team to play back-to-back games overseas is electric. It's fun. It's going to make Vikings fans waking up in the early morning a little bit more energetic. The mimosas and Bloody Marys, I'm sure, will be flowing.
Hey.
But I think the most dangerous part of that schedule, in my opinion, happens right there, kind of at the end of November when you go to Green Bay, when you go to Seattle, and then you come home and you play who might be an MVP trophy winner this year in the Washington Commanders, Jayden McDaniels. That's a dangerous part of the season for me. But one thing I really love, PA, how fun is it going to be to see Jalen Hurts and the Super Bowl champions Philadelphia Eagles, MVP Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens coming into US Bank Stadium?
If I'm looking for autographs and or looking for on-field selfies for Twitter, well, this is a phenomenal schedule. But when it comes to the level of competition, I mean, this is not to disrespect the Bears or the Falcons. However, weeks 3 to 10, man, you got a gauntlet in there. Ooh-wee. Well, you got Joe Burrow here. That's super cool. The AFC North teams, whether they have middling records, losing records, or whatever, they're all tough to beat in the AFC North, man. This ain't the AFC South like last year. So you're at Dublin, you're at Ireland against those teams, then you chill. Out of the bye, you get the champions, like you said, Jalen Hurts. Then on a short week, you're at Herbert, winnable game, but still short week travel on a Thursday. Then you go to Ford Field after that, and then you come back and you're trying to come up for air, and you get Lamar Jackson. Are you kidding me with this?
That bye week comes not only at a good time for the overseas schedule, but it comes at a good time for setting yourself up for what's going to happen in the next 4 weeks. That is an absolute gauntlet right there.
The Vikings also in a scheduling rarity. They have 2 short weeks. They have 2 Thursday football games.
Do they really?
They're at the LA Chargers week 8 after the Eagles game, and then Christmas, middle of the day Christmas. And that's after the game at the New York Giants. I think the Detroit Lions got saddled because they played the Thanksgiving game every year, and now they're playing Christmas. But what a holiday cheer for these Detroit Lions, by the way. I think they have 3 Thursday football games. This is crazy, Parker.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's like you said, PA, that becomes a little tricky situation. Anytime you're playing at Dallas, it's a team we feel confident that we should win. But, that's another opportunity on a Sunday night football game at Dallas when you know that you got to turn around and go to New York right after that and then come home and try to finish this thing up with your NFC North opponents. This schedule is not only difficult, but we talked about it this morning, just the fun that this schedule is going to bring.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Seeing some of these guys, these high-level athletes, competitors at US Bank Stadium.
Right.
It's going to be an absolute pleasure of a schedule. And how awesome is it? We talked briefly this morning about what this Vikings team has done to set themselves up really well for a schedule like this.
At Sam Darnold in late November, you head to the Cappuccino Capital. That's a 3:05 game. That's cool, man. All right, let's close like this. Here's a controversial proclamation yours truly is about to make. If Jayden McDaniels significantly impacts every game, every single game, this is not hey, that half's okay, ma'am, because we still have a month and a half, 2 months to go in the season. Hey, ma'am, you got 3,000 the first 5 minutes because your defense is overly tenacious. That's cool, man. We'll fix it by next week or 2 weeks from now. Nah. I mean, you have 8 games to win the NBA championship. If Jayden McDaniels significantly impacts every single game the rest of the way, they're winning the NBA championship.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
I'll say it again.
Say it again.
Kids, yeah, you heard me. If Jayden McDaniels significantly impacts every single game the rest of the way, and this is now knowing that we know in our hearts, you can count on Ant. You can count on Julius. You can count on Rudy Gobert. If Jayden McDaniels significantly impacts each game the rest of the way, the Minnesota Timberwolves will bring home not only the Larry O'Brien, but the first championship to this state in 3.5 decades. I ain't kidding you.
You're going to make me cry, man.
Yeah, I said it.
You're going to make me cry.
Take me deep. I said it.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
I said it.
we've seen the greatness from Anthony Edwards. We've seen the greatness from Julius Randle.
Well, the hockey guy over there's going nuts.
I love it.
We had a gerbil shift, and it made me laugh. 3-2.
Jaden McDaniels is the most key piece on this Timberwolves roster. I've heard so many people and so many coaches talk about how do you win a championship? You need an excellent third man. So many times throughout our history and our childhood, we've heard about Batman and Robin. We've heard about the leader and the co-leader. You don't often hear about the third guy, and that guy is Jaden McDaniels. He is so pivotal to everything the Timberwolves want to do. I think if you talk to Chris Finch about the expertise that Jaden has on the defensive side of the ball, it goes unnoticed so many times, but if you sit down and you watch what he's doing from a defensive standpoint, he's going to either have to face a Jamal Murray or a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I love Jaden McDaniel.
Who gets Jalen Williams? No, the shooter, not the center.
We'll figure that out.
It's got to be Ant.
We'll figure that. Yeah, it'll be Ant.
Yeah, okay, we got to slow down because that series isn't even over.
We're getting too fired up, but I think you're right, P. I think you're exactly right. Jaden McDaniels is such a key piece.
Every game.
Especially when he's really handling the ball well. He gets out in transition, and then when you bring double teams to Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, you have a guy named Jaden McDaniels, 6'9", with a 7'5" wingspan in the corner, shooting layup-like threes. Man, he is such a key piece.
One of my best friends, the full-time package handler, Lonnie Anderson, he's listening in his UPS truck right now, and he just sent me a text. Those turnovers, though.
Yes.
Well, he's right. Yeah. I mean, You're right. And Oklahoma City, at last check, forces the most turnovers and turns over the ball the least.
Yes.
So let's go Nuggets.
Let's go.
How about that Joker tonight?
We got the Nuggets number a little bit too. But PA, I want to highlight that briefly. I think it's such a key thing for this Timberwolves team. You can't have 20 turnovers. Yes, the 36 assists was awesome.
Bro, we had 20 last night?
We had 20 last night. You can't have 20. You want to keep that assist number at 36, somewhere around there. That was a playoff record for the franchise. Julius Randle, 5 turnovers. Anthony Edwards, 7 turnovers. That's 12 turnovers from your star. Unacceptable. It flies against a team like the Warriors, but when you're going to face the teams you're about to face, you have to be more solid with the basketball because live ball turnovers are absolute killers. It lets teams if we're playing the Thunder, this athletic team that can get out in transition, you hate to see live ball turnovers for a team like that. That's a way that teams stay in games. I truly believe that teams can't stick with the Timberwolves when they're taking care of the ball and they're playing the offense they want to play. Now, the reason and the way you let teams in is turning over the basketball.
I love when you talk like that. Let's save the best for last. Old guys got to stick together.
Yes.
All right? You talk about the granddaddy of them all. That's Mike Conley.
Oh, yeah.
37 years of age. He'll be 38 in less than 6 months. Scoring a bunch of points last night, but I saw a tweet. In the Twitter sphere last night that was like low-key underrated. Let's not forget Conley, D'Angelo, Russell move and bringing maturity into the locker room, calm into the locker room. That's such a good point because it's with Mike, and I'm going to bring this up with Micah Nori about 7 minutes from now. With Mike, he's calm, he's mature. He's respected. Mm-hmm. He has league equity, which really matters to these kids.
Oh, yeah.
But he kind of has that surrogate big brother / uncle to him where they don't want to let him down.
That's what they call him on. They call him Unc.
They do.
All the guys on the team call him Unc.
The talented kids, including the most talented one, Anthony Edwards, they don't want to let that guy down, man.
No, Mike Conley, he's the seasoned floor general. He orchestrates the Timberwolves offense with precision. He obviously led them last night to a commanding 121-110 victory over the Warriors to finish that series. I thought he was super underrated in what he did last night. He played 27 minutes. He was 5 of 7 from the floor. He had 16 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. That's just a complete game. When you have guys like Julius Randle who can play point forward, like we mentioned, and you have guys like Anthony Edwards who want the ball in his hands, bringing it up the floor, you don't always have to be the guy setting up the offense. Now, that allows you to do different things. Set good screens, communicate, make sure the offense flows. Mike Conley is the perfect piece at the point guard position to do that. The only thing that scares me is the future of this team without Mike Conley.
Let's not worry about that.
We don't want to talk about that.
Well, if we can't talk about OKC or Denver, which might be Sunday, we ain't talking about 2025, 2026.
Let's win a championship first, right?
And can Rob Dillingham finally hit threes? We ain't doing that, okay?
I love it.
Tell Taylor the announcer says, congratulations.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful big spot moment by one of the best hockey players in the world, quite honestly, and your girlfriend, Taylor Heisey.
Fact.
And they made the playoffs, man. It's like last time I saw her or heard her do an interview, it seemed like a 20% chance they were going to get to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They got the Frost to the playoffs.
Yes.
And she and Toronto caught the stray last night, man. The game winner by Taylor Heisey. She has to be in a great mood, right?
Yeah, she was. She told me she texted me about 8 o'clock. Like last night, she goes, hopefully I can sleep till about 9:30, 10. She woke up at about 8 o'clock texting me that she's all fired up and ready to get back at it. So, no, you're right, PA. They had to win 2 games in regulation to make the playoffs.
Jeez.
They did that, and then they go to Toronto, being the visitor on the road. They get a win there. They seal up 2 at home, and she had an absolute beauty of a snipe.
I know.
To put it away. I'm super proud of her, and now they get a little rest before they have to play either Montreal or Ottawa in the Walter Cup finals.
Covenant claps for her and the rest of the ladies that make up the Minnesota Frost, winning in dramatic fashion. I appreciate you, brother, and I'll see you Monday, okay?
Love you, PA.
Love you, too. Parker Fox at ParkerFox24 via the tweet machine. When we return, lead assistant for Chris Finch, Micah Nori, joins 9 to noon to talk about the T-Wolves howling into the Western Conference Finals. That's part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. And Brett Blakemore producing today has the cash thing.
The cash thing, the fan and bigdeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks of the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is fun. The keyword is fun. KFAN.com. Keyword fun. Attention, Minnesota. ZZ Top is bringing their legendary rock sound to the Ledge Amphitheater June 12th. Don't miss out on this epic concert. Win your way in by checking our contest page, KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
Awaiting the arrival of Chris Finch's right-hand man, lead assistant for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Micah Nori, who joined the show frequently last year during the postseason as he had to take over for Chris Finch when Chris became hobbled. In the first series against the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker rolls into his knee. Down goes Finchy. Down goes Finchy, but not down goes the Howl. They beat Phoenix. Then they had that 7-game meat grinder, closing it with a dramatic, spine-tingling victory at Ball Arena against the Denver Nuggets. Then after that, they barely could come up for air, and boom, there are Luka Doncic, P.J. Washington, and Kyrie Irving. And the Dallas Mavericks, the fan has learned, beat the Timberwolves and went to the NBA Finals. A little different this year, given the Wolves closed at home. And to chat about that and much more, joining us now, indeed, is Micah Nori, assistant coach and Chris Finch's right-hand man for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are Western Conference Finals bound. Micah, congratulations, my man. Thank you very much for the time. The guys handled the business at hand last night decisively, which has to make a coaching staff proud, right?
Absolutely. I think, it's just great. And you said it, to go back to the Western Conference Finals again, and then just to see how we handled business from last year to this year, especially taking care of home court like we've had. And when Steph did go out in just those next 4 games, it was a pleasure to watch and pleasure to be a part of.
And Michael, last year, I just brought this up in passing, then you called. Last year, you guys win a dramatic Game 7 in Denver. You fly home. I imagine you get in a single practice. You fly to Dallas and start the conference finals. A little different this year, right? In that, things absolutely are going to be less frenzied no matter who you play next, right?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, we were very fortunate last year, just taking even back the 2 rounds prior. We didn't have to deal with the play-in as we did the first 2 years we were here. So we had 4 days to get ready for Phoenix, and then obviously they had beaten us 4 times in the regular season, and then we swept them, so we were able to really focus in, dive into the details. Corliss Williamson had that scout, did a phenomenal job. And then, we take care of them, which allowed us another 3-4 days to prep for Denver. And then that series goes 7 games. We jumped on Denver, winning the first 2 out there, and it was a very quick turnaround. And I don't know. There's some crazy stat. You can always find an excuse if you want to, that the teams that go to Game 7 they don't do very well coming off of that when they have a day in between the very first game of the next round. So to answer your question, absolutely, it was key for us to take advantage. And if we had lost last night, we wouldn't get to play again until Sunday. So that's another 3-4 days where you're focusing on Golden State. Whereas now we can, today's what we call a blackout day where guys can get their rest and get their bodies right. And then we'll get back at, watch the game tonight and see what happens, whether we have OKC or we wait and see if it may be Denver. So, but to have that extra time is key, and not only for rest, but also just for the prep.
Well, true. I mean, right on, and absolutely agree with you for sure. But think about, you dispatch of the Lakers in 5. Then you guys had like 5.5, 6 days before the next game. And you came out in game 1 and it was a clunker. Then you sweep them the rest of the way. And Chris Finch joins this radio show weekly, and I talked to him earlier this week about that time off. And, I'm not looking to have you share company secrets, but, he said if we do get extra time off and get to the Western Conference Finals, there are some things that you guys would change if you have like more than 2 or 3 days up to the next series. And that could take, if Denver wins tonight, then really it doesn't matter who wins game 7. You're going to have like a 4, 5, 6 day layoff. And you got to start thinking about that, right?
Absolutely. And I will say that is a great problem to have because you'd rather be this and have the rest and then be able to say, hey, how do we want to handle it, as opposed to going into that 7-game series. And just like where we struggled against Dallas, I hate to say it, but just look what happened with Steph. God bless him. He has a grueling 7-game series with Houston, has to play 40-plus minutes every other night, and then comes to our series and tweaks a hamstring. So I'm not saying that has anything to do with what was going on prior, but you'd much rather have the rest and be ready to go. But absolutely, I think we'll look at that. We'll see what happens in tonight's game, and then we'll be able to come up with the schedule. And Coach Finch does a phenomenal job of having us ready to play. And the one thing that's great about Coach Finch is he'll look at it and say, okay, well, we did this, so we need to make an adjustment. It's not like he's just going to keep on trying to, what is it? They say it, insanity's trying to do the same thing and expect a different result. So
right.
He's not afraid to switch it up.
When Michael, when Golden State last night, when Golden State had just 11 points, like 6.5 minutes into it, I'm watching and I felt you guys not only were on a good one, but that defense, ma'am, to set the tone, it was big when it needed to be big. What were some keys with that?
No, I think that's a great point. The one thing we did know, and I keep hating to have to go back to Steph, but just to explain the point.
Right.
When Steph left the series, that took away a lot of gravity. And what I mean by that was, Jimmy Butler, for what he's really good at, and especially now, and same thing with Draymond Green, both of them they're always looking to pass for the most part. They're very unselfish players. They want to get into the paint. They want to look to kick out. And so what we were able to do, especially with Steph being gone, was we were able to stay home on the perimeter and then make Jimmy and make Draymond have to play one-on-one basketball and make tough shots over length and athleticism that Jaden, that Ant, that Julius, and then you have Rudy back there as well, who does a phenomenal job protecting the paint and taking those guys one-on-one. And that's why it was just very difficult for them to score in the half court. And what we felt was if we took care of the basketball, and Coach always talks about it being a possession game, and we keep them off the offensive glass so that they don't get second shots or easy points off of our turnovers, they were going to have a hard time getting to 100 points just because of the nature of the makeup of their team without Steph. And so, to your point, when we were up, halfway through the first quarter, I felt awfully good about our defense. And then, offensively, we kind of figured some things out through the series and were able to put some points on the board. Julius Randle is like a football player who's really good at basketball. And you've coached forever and probably played. So you remember back to like when you were in high school and you'd have pickup games and the football players would decide they want to play and they love contact. They crave it, but they weren't great technically sound basketball players, but they were tough to play. Julius is like that, but he's technically sound and super gifted, man. He's like a football player who's really good at basketball, right? Yeah, 100%. I think, and to take it a step further too, like both he and Ant, a lot of our guys, I think when you see these playoffs, and I think it's been very enjoyable playoffs even to watch as a fan where, they're letting people play, the physicality is up, and we embrace that. We're a very physical team, and that's spearheaded by Julius and spearheaded by Ant. And again, we're not floppers. We don't take games off. We don't take plays off. So when you can play downhill and they allow you to be physical and to use those abilities, shoot, that goes right up our alley. And to your point, when you have a guy like Julius, who is essentially a football player playing basketball, but you add in that skill, it was great. And, let me just say one thing, which was really cool. I think it's kind of played out well. Coach Finch, before we played the Lakers, challenged both Ant and Julius and said, listen, for us, especially this series with the Lakers, but throughout the playoffs, if you two guys flirt with triple doubles on a nightly basis, we're going to be very, very good. And, you look at it, they're both averaging almost, Ant's at 26, Julius is at 24 point wise, rebounds, Ant's at 8. You have Julius right there at 6, and they're both averaging 6 assists. So they've done exactly that. I think it's just really cool that they took on that challenge from Coach, and then you see the benefits of it last night with the way we share the basketball with 36 assists and all that. So I think that's really cool.
And Micah, one of many things that I really enjoy with the NBA playoffs, and I've said it for years, is they all can play 10 of 10 defense if they try. And if there are a certain amount of chips in the middle of the table, every single player in the league is so gifted that they can get down, slide, and play that defense the way you need it to be played. But there need to be certain things at stake for some players. Now, and I bring that up that way because Julius Randle never has been known for his defensive prowess. Lakers, New Orleans, Knicks, or whatever. But his defense, man, how has Julius Randle's defense helped you guys get to this point?
I think a lot of it is just the trust, and I think a lot of it is it helps with the relationship that Julius has with Finchie, and not necessarily even the relationship, but also just having been around him when they were together in New Orleans some time back. And I think when you look at the numbers, and analytics are everywhere now, but Julius does a really good job of switching. And, when we were able to use him to switch more rather than just keep him in coverage, where, he's basically on the big and pick and roll and he's in coverage, meaning he's still worried about his own guy and all this. But when you just straight switch and tell him to sit down, and especially if you give him tendencies of the guys that he's switching on to, he does a very good job of sending guys. It goes back to the physicality you're talking about, where he can send them the way that we want them to go, where they're not as effective. He does a phenomenal job of that, and just the buy-in all the way around. And you can't be remiss. Shoot, PA, me and you might be able to guard some guys on the perimeter if we know we got Rudy behind us, because you don't really care if they go by us because we know we got Rudy at the rim.
The Minnesota Timberwolves have become the first Minnesota men's sports team to reach the conference finals in consecutive seasons since the Minnesota Vikings reached the NFC title games in 76 and 77. Thank you very much for that. Aaron Freeman on the fly, 9 to noon. Mike Conley caught fire last night. He's 38 years old in 5 months, is very mature and calm when things get hot. And I'd imagine all the players look up to Mike Conley, and just there's that natural organic edge you have where they don't want to let him down. Is that a fair assessment?
Very much so. I think that Mike has a great way. He's been around so long. He's egoless and he's selfless. And at the end of the day, when he speaks to everybody, they listen. He's not a big speech guy in groups, but one-on-one and making, saying what needs to be said, he's phenomenal at. And he also leads by example. I mean, here's a guy, like you said, he's going to be 38 in 5 months, and he's probably one of our most sound defensive players as far as being in the right spot. He chased around Buddy Hield. You even saw it last night when the game got a little bit close. Coach Finch subs him back in the game, and it goes back from a 9-point lead all the way back out to 16.
Right.
And he's just a calming force at both ends of the floor in the locker room, and you can't help but pull for a guy like that. And the other thing is, when you look at Mike Conley's career, whether he's numbers and also, all he's done is won. From his high school days when he and Odin were together, when they go to Ohio State, but from Memphis, from Utah. He's just every team he's on seems like they win 50-plus games every year, and he puts you in a position to win, and it takes great care of his body. So I know that you and I probably didn't look much like him when we were 38. God bless us.
I mean, I haven't felt my ribs in 30 years, Mike. I don't know why you have to go down that road, but time for two more here. Does Micah Nori, lead assistant for Chris Finch, Wolves off to the Western Conference Finals. Two more to go. Does Anthony Edwards' offense become off the charts good when his defense is on point? It seems they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you're talking about. I don't know whether it's playoffs or, he's so competitive, so you'll see it in times of the games where, and that's like you say, what I mean by that is when he's locked in at both ends, there's no letdown. So it's not like he's locked in offensively and then not that he's taking plays off or time's up, but maybe he's trying to relax a little bit defensively where he's off the ball so that he can just save himself a little bit. But when he's locked in, it's like that, like the switch is on the whole time. So it's not like he's turning it off, turning it back on and that type of thing. And I mean, my goodness, guys they feed off of it. And I've never seen a player in a lot of years, and there's been around some good ones to your point. I mean, we have seen them. I've never coached one, I guess, that It's just when you need a bucket or when you look down at a halftime, like the other night, I felt really good when we were out in Golden State and he had only scored single digits or whatnot and it's a 2-point game because one of those explosions are going to come or one of those runs by Ant are going to come. And they always do. And a lot of times it's even generated by him defensively. I mean, last night he gets he has the turnovers, yes, but then he gets a huge block on Kuminga to kind of put the whole game away and all that. But absolutely, when he's locked in on both ends of the floor, he's definitely a force. Don't
let Dante get hot, by the way. I mean, DiVincenzo had 7 steals in the series and just might have gotten his shot going last night. So with Randall and Dante, how has the toughness factor with the team increased by adding them?
Yeah, I think it definitely has. I think that both those guys, that's just the mentality in which the way they play. You talk about the physicality of it. And I think the one big thing is we all know how great of a player Carl is, but to get 2 guys in your rotation, and Finchie said it from day one, we essentially have 8 guys that could probably start for the majority of the teams across the league. But the mentality and the physicality which they bring and where it really carries over is exactly what we talked about at the very beginning, PA, is in the playoffs. And now when they're letting you play, when they're letting people put hands on you to try to keep you from going where you want to go, and then but Dante, you talk about those 7 steals. They came at clutch times. You think about the one he even had along the sideline, where he's diving into the crowd a couple times, just getting to the floor first and those type of things. And again, those are things that like an Ant dunk. Those are types of plays that really are momentum shifters. And when you need it, and especially in the playoffs, when it comes down to 1 or 2 possession games, and everybody talks about how we struggled in clutch games, and they are right in the regular season, but why we're 4 or 5-0 in the playoffs. A lot of it is because of those plays that those guys are making to get to those 50-50 balls or getting a stop or getting a steal when we need it.
You're fantastic. Thanks for the time this morning, my brother, and best of luck in the next one, all right?
Thank you so much for having me, P. I appreciate you.
Yep, see ya. Micah Nori, lead assistant for Chris Finch's Howell.
Man.
Carboni's Pizza wants to fuel your playoff party. Visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza and get ready for the playoff run. Play your nearest Carboni's today at carbonispizza.com.
Old friend Jayce Tingler is on the 9 to Noon show, bench coach for the red-hot Minnesota Twins, who have won 10 consecutive games. Covenant claps for that from the 9 to Noon presentation. And Jayce, it's Paul Allen. It's been way too long, and we graciously thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. I haven't got to speak to you since I believe it was the home opener maybe a couple months ago.
Right. Like I said, it's been way too long, man, and 10 consecutive for you guys is fantastic. Now, but first, how's the manager and the illness? How's he doing?
So I texted him early this morning, and I think he's feeling a little bit better. We'll kind of wait and see. We're going to head to the ballpark around 9 a.m. East Coast time. So once I get off the phone here, head down, get on the bus, and hopefully he's in a little better shape.
Right on, man. And secondly, Jayce Tingler, the former manager of the San Diego Padres, had to run the ship yesterday from pretty much the middle part of the second game of that doubleheader on, and you even got to do the post-game media scrum press conference. so that was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, that's the part I don't miss. But you know what? You know what's exciting is the way we're playing like right now. And obviously the last couple weeks we've been playing better. But the way we're pitching it, we're doing a better job of defending the field. We're staying in games. And then, by staying in these games, we're creating, possibilities of being able to take over the game, win the game. And that's what our guys have been doing. And so not only is it a blast to get to the ballpark, be around the guys, watching them work. Everybody's uplifted. It's also enjoyable to watch the way we're playing right now. So we're just looking to keep that going.
So pitching obviously is incredibly key, likewise for tenacity and good defensive play. But for those who maybe haven't seen every single game the last couple of weeks, like what are some common threads that have helped you guys win 10 in a row?
I think the common thread, for the most part in general, our starting pitching is sneaky good. And I say that they're keeping us in damn near every game. Our bullpen has been exceptional. I mean, yesterday we play 18 innings. We didn't get a lot of length out of the starters yesterday. Our bullpen throws basically 9 innings of scoreless baseball. So the bullpen's been very good. And defensively, we're doing a much better job, better than what we were doing at the beginning of the year, making our routine plays, which means our pitchers don't have to get 4 outs in an inning. And when we do, or we do have a mistake, we've been able to cover it up now. And then we're getting timely hitting. We're watching the growth of Brooks Lee and some of these young players. Certainly the way Buxton has played. Correa has been solid defensively all around. And so we feel like we got a lot of good things kind of clicking right now.
I think it was a Sunday a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. I felt I was watching a game at Fenway. I was back in Minnesota. You guys were at Fenway. And I felt you guys might be onto something when you found a way to grind out and win the crochet game at Fenway. You know what I mean with that?
Yes. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. You walk in, and I believe that was the last game of the series, and so it was 1-1. We didn't have a ton of momentum. We hadn't been winning series and stuff like that, and you walk in and you face Crochet, who arguably one of the top pitchers in the league. And the way that game starts, Buxton, kind of our guy, goes against their guy, and we start off with a homer, and you could kind of feel a little bit momentum and a little bit of belief, and be able to grind out that game, get the win. I think to your point, that may have jump-started something.
You guys are scorching hot right now, but catching the tiger's tail, I mean, that's tough, right? And it's marathon, not sprint. We're not even close to it halfway home, but nevertheless, Detroit has won 3 in a row and bumped that run differential to plus 86. The Tigers are tough customers, aren't they?
So they're a very good team. I think what a lot of people don't realize, the teams in the AL Central, the Guardians, the Royals, Detroit, and we consider ourselves up there as well. And so, the way Detroit's playing, kind of you're talking about, where they're at, like in division. But you know what? 2 weeks ago, nobody was talking about us doing anything. So it's a long season. We just want to focus, continue on playing good baseball. We're going to have our chances head-to-head against Detroit here coming up. But the main thing is we got to keep playing good baseball.
The Twins have won 10 in a row, and we wanted a covenant catch-up with bench coach Jayce Tingler, who managed the second game yesterday. And we thank him very much for making some time before the series finale versus the Baltimore Orioles today. And you mentioned it a bit earlier, but while running the ship yesterday with Rocco falling ill, all hands on deck with that bullpen, right? I mean, and it's you use so many of them over 2 games, but the other side of it, exciting for those guys, right? Because they know they're probably going to play.
I think that's spot on. We got into the situation there, the second game. We basically only had, 4 guys kind of left, and we didn't get a ton of length out of Simeon. And so, we're trailing at the time, so you're kind of thinking about all the situations, and you're thinking about, well, we got to play tomorrow. We're trailing. How can we finish this game, without maybe using everybody? So we've got something going into tomorrow, and then we take the lead. And so at that point, we're sitting there in the 8th and 9th inning. We've got two guys left. Topa was pitching, and then you get to the 9th inning. We thought Sands would be our best chance to close the game. And knowing that if anything happened, you go extra innings, we were going to be in trouble. But, I think like the thought process is like, you know what, we've won 9 in a row. And our guys that have battled back, like in this game, let's give them every opportunity to win it here in the 9th. And Sands went out and had a 1-2-3 inning, and it worked out well. It doesn't always work that way, but it worked out well yesterday.
What did the dugout feel like when Cody Clemens hit that 3-run bomb?
It was rocking. Like everyone just like erupted. I remember watching the view. So we're in the third base dugout and the ball's like sailing over. Like you can tell it's going to be long gone. And so I'm watching a little bit of the ball and I turn to the left and just everybody's going ballistic. Hank Conger is like high-fiving everybody as the ball's sailing over, and it was rocking.
Hey, speaking of Cody Clemens, how well did you know his father, Roger, before having Cody around?
So I didn't. But when we were in Boston, Roger was kind of holding court. I think it was that crochet game on Sunday before. And so a couple of the players, coaches got to slide out. Rocco has, I think, a little more of a relationship like with him. And so, I was in the weight room working out, but the guys were telling me Roger was holding court, and it was amazing.
We just were talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves beating the Golden State Warriors and moving on to the Western Conference Finals before we called you. And I've forgotten here, you shared with me opening day. Is OKC or the Houston Rockets your favorite NBA team?
So I don't have a favorite NBA team. Growing up in Kansas City, we never really had that. So I probably adopted the T-Wolves. Being here in Minnesota and then following them and then watching what they're doing, going on this run right now, and it'll be interesting what they can do this next round.
Well, they're right next door to you, so you get to any of these playoff games?
We haven't yet. In fact, after the doubleheader yesterday, it was like I was lucky enough to make it through the first quarter before passing out last night. Got up early this morning, checked, make sure they won, and then be following it the rest of the way.
And you undoubtedly got a workout in this morning, right? Because you can't let that body fat get above 5%, right?
I got on the treadmill this morning and checked on Rocco, and we're good to go now.
All right, I know you got a bus to catch. Last one here, and it involves Chris Paddock. Paddock goes today. He's one of my favorites, man, because he's just tough. Like that Fenway game we were talking about. He wasn't great, but didn't compound the mistakes, and you guys ended up winning. And the last one versus San Francisco and against the Giants, Paddock was excellent, man. What are some keys to Chris Paddock's success versus like Gunnar and Mullins and the Orioles today?
Yeah, so I think the last game you're talking about, that's one of the best I've ever seen Chris Paddock. And so the velo was up. I think that's going to be important.
Wow.
He's mixing in the 4 and the 2-seamer. He always has that good changeup. And being able to throw his curveball for strike early and count, those are going to be the keys. It's going to be a real battle today because Baltimore, like you're talking about, Gunnar, Henderson, they've got 5 or 6 really good left-handed hitters. But I think the one thing that can neutralize that is if he's establishing his fastball in the locations he wants, and he's mixing in using that changeup, and it's got that drop and getting them swinging out front and over the top of it, then I think he's going to be in a good spot.
You got your manager's cap on just in case for today, right?
Just in case, but I'm hoping Rocco's good to go.
Hey, let's do this more frequently, man. And once again, sorry that it's been so long. We had such a good time opening day, and likewise today. Best of luck against those O's, and we'll call soon, okay?
Thanks, Paul. You got my number now, so let's do it.
Yes, sir. Bye, Jayce.
All right, take care.
Jayce Tingler, he is the bench coach for the Minnesota Twins, and he was called into action yesterday. I think it was the third or the fourth inning of the second game of a doubleheader sweep against the Baltimore Orioles. Rocco Baldelli became ill, and as Jay said, with the team set to jump on buses and head over to play the Baltimore Orioles, that it seems still a little dicey as to whether Rocco Baldelli will manage the series finale against Baltimore today. But Jayce is cool, man. Jayce is cool. He and I hit it off the second we met each other opening day. Former manager of the San Diego Padres. He has great stories to tell from days gone by in the world of Major League Baseball. But the days that are here right now involve a lot of great things in this market. NFL schedule came out yesterday. Super cool schedule for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get into that with Nacho Libre coming up around the corner, 9 to noon. Minnesota Timberwolves have advanced to the Western Conference Finals for the second consecutive year. And as we've said a million times so far, but it bears repeating for the ever-changing audience on the vast and ever-expanding audio leader, KFAN. Oklahoma City and Denver play tonight, and personally speaking, I'm pulling for Denver to tie that thing 3-3 and give the Timberwolves some extra time to prepare for the Western Conference Finals. And then who knows after that, man? The NBA Finals are a distinct and real possibility for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to the Minnesota Twins for winning 10 consecutive. And Chris Paddock toes the rubber today, trying to make it 11 in a row for Rocco. 11 in a row for Rocco. Let's mix in some of that T-Wolves talk and also get Ben Lieber's thoughts on the 2025 schedule for the Minnesota Vikings from J.J. McCarthy at Caleb Williams on Monday Night Football all the way through the green and gold at U.S. Bank Stadium, Week 18. Nacho Libre joins 9 to noon around the corner at FM 100.3 KFAN.